Welcome to another exciting installment of Amagi Reads Manga Blind so he can experience it fresh with you. I gotta get a better name for this, but anyway, that's the gist. I've yet to read the latest chapter of Boruto and would like to experience it fresh with you so we can react to it together. Afterward, we'll discuss what the chapter means and implications for the future. I hope you're ready for another pulse-pounding chapter. After the last one, who wouldn't be? Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. When we last read the manga, we got to see Himawari in battle against Jura, to which her abilities were heavily speculated to be beyond your average Jinchuriki and more in detailed beast level. We got to see Sarada face off against Hidari, where she managed to wound him, but in the end, Jura and Hidari both got the better of their respective targets and nearly took them out. That was until Boruto came in to save the day, rescuing Himawari from Jura and Sarada from Hidari. This chapter should pick up where the last one left off, so let's get into it. We get to see Boruto standing there between Hidari and Sarada while still holding Himawari. Sarada calls out to him and the others look on in surprise. Hidari seems less than thrilled about the situation. Boruto places Himawari down and then calls out to his old master, Konohamaru, to protect Himawari for him. As he says this, Hidari is forming a blade made of wood release to strike Boruto down with. As Hidari swings it, Boruto catches it with his sword before weaving hand signs with one hand and utilizing wind style to knock Hidari back. And Kishimoto is just loading Boruto with feats. First flying Raijin, now one-handed jutsu signs. Boruto has no doubt surpassed everyone we've seen up to this point. As Hidari's being blown back, he catches himself, places a claw mark, and then disappears into it. Elsewhere, Delta and Kawaki are just hovering there. Kawaki explains that Boruto's chakra signature changed locations in a flash, and now it's back at the village. He surmises that he used his new space-time ninjutsu to do this. They watch Jura from afar as he simply stands there. Delta calls the sensory unit and begins to ask them about the status of Team 10. The sensory unit tells her that they're all there, with Team 10 being wounded and headed for the new district, and Himawari being there with Konohamaru thanks to Boruto, who's also there. Delta asks Kawaki if he heard all that, but Kawaki is more preoccupied trying to figure out why Jura is merely standing there doing nothing. Back in the village, Boruto remains vigilant. Konohamaru calls out to Boruto, chastising him and demanding to know why he's in the village after everything he's done. Sarada tells Konohamaru to leave Boruto alone and that if it weren't for Boruto, Sarada herself might have already been killed. Sumire gives Konohamaru a glance, which he returns. Begrudgingly, Konohamaru decides to team up with Boruto, who he tells to be aware. He tells Boruto that the enemy can traverse through the claw marks and show up anywhere. Boruto tells him that he reached the same conclusion. He then turns to a nearby surviving shinobi and asks if he's sensory unit. He tells him to focus on the claw marks and let him know if even a little bit of chakra changes. The sensory shinobi rebukes the idea that a traitor could tell him what to do. Sumire then stands up and tells Boruto that Hidari has a strange fixation on Sarada, and that he completely ignored a wide-open Konohamaru the moment he saw that Sarada was open to attack. Sarada then says that Hidari told her that he was going to eat her, and then remarks that he has such similar moves to her and Sasuke. She then asks if this has anything to do with her father becoming a tree. Konohamaru then stops and asks what she means by tree. He asks if she means the same thing that's happening to Moegi. Boruto then explains that this monster came into existence by using Sasuke's chakra, but reminds them not to hold back because of that, because the only way to bring Sasuke back is to defeat Hidari. This information seems to startle Sarada and Sumire, but it leaves Konohamaru only with more questions. He demands to know where Boruto acquired his information. Boruto then commands Konohamaru to focus, telling him that if he doesn't, he'll die. It's then that the other sensory shinobi informs them that he senses movement in the claw marks. Sarada looks back and Boruto tells them to stay calm. He then asks the shinobi where the chakra is coming from, and the shinobi says he doesn't know, as it feels like it was coming from everywhere. Boruto looks down and notices movement in the claw marks. Suddenly, 5 claw grimes appear from the marks. Boruto says that he'll thin the numbers out. He tells Sarada that because Hidari wants her the most, that she should just stay out of the battle unless one of the grimes comes for her. It's then that Konohamaru tells Sumire to get close to him so they can pull back. As they rush Boruto, Boruto pulls his sword and jumps over, carving the first claw grime's head in 2. He then proceeds to dismember the other 2 watching. A 4th rushes Sarada and she kicks it, but suddenly from the mark on the claw grime's stomach comes Hidari, who grabs her foot. Hidari begins to absorb her, but suddenly a shuriken strikes the claw grime in the back of the neck as Boruto utilizes the flying Raijin jutsu to get closer. He then pulls another page from Minato's book and utilizes Rasengan in the back of Hidari. This is a funny mirror of how Minato defeated Obito, if you ask me. Suddenly, Hidari disappears, as does the grime he's riding through. Sarada explains in frustration that Hidari will now go heal the damage done to him. We see Hidari appear in the secret base of the trees where roots come down from above and quickly repair all the damage done to him immediately. He then reappears from a claw mark and proceeds to use his Rinnegan to create more claw marks all around. Sarada tells Boruto to take to the air while she remains on the ground to lure Hidari out, and then he can strike Hidari with another Rasengan, but Boruto refuses to do so. Boruto says he's going to use the Rasengan Uzahiko at full power to kill Hidari in one blow. Sarada asks what that technique is, and Boruto tells her that it uses centrifugal force accompanied by the planet's own rotation. He says that he calls that the planet's chakra, and that his Rasengan utilizes that energy. She questions if it really is possible for a single shot of his Rasengan to be able to do such a thing, and he tells her that it is possible if he doesn't hold back, because the Uzahiko has no limits. Now, hold up. I know what you're thinking. No, this does not mean that Boruto solos everything. That would be a no-limits fallacy. This is likely hyperbole. We need an actual feat to determine the true strength of this. He then explains that he needs to take up the Earth's chakra through his feet, which is why he can't fly up into the air. He says that he'll need quite a bit to defeat Hidari in one blow, however. Sarada then acknowledges that she's gonna need to buy him some time. Just as she says that, Hidari's hand comes up through the claw mark. Boruto sees it, and suddenly Konohamaru rushes over to utilize his technique Rasen Barrier. Hidari's hand retreats. Sarada exclaims the name of Konohamaru as Boruto demands to know why he's not protecting Himawari. Konohamaru reminds Boruto that he doesn't need to take orders from him and that he'll decide what to do himself. He then tells Boruto to finish preparing his ninjutsu. Suddenly, Hidari appears behind Sarada and attempts to attack her, grabbing her and attempting to drag her down with him. Boruto sees this, and Konohamaru cries out for her. She then uses her Chidori to basically turn herself into a taser and zaps Bro before he can take her. Sarada then uses her Judo to throw Hidari into the air and asks Boruto if he's not finished yet. Boruto says it's not perfect, but it's now or never. He strikes Hidari with the Rasengan Uzahiko, which creates a stream of rotational energy that seems to destroy Hidari, leaving only his upper torso. Boruto curses that he's just a little short of killing him. He shouts that he won't let Hidari get away. As Hidari falls to the ground, something stops him and catches him, to his surprise. To the shock of Boruto and the team, it was Kawaki. Kawaki then uses the line he's no doubt been trying to think up the entire time he was flying back. "Hey, you look to be in pain. Let me ease your suffering." He then destroys what's left of Hidari, creating a massive cloud of smoke, leaving behind only a crater. Or so he thinks. Sumire calls out for him, as does Konohamaru. As Kawaki begins to walk away, he notices what looks to be a big artichoke or something floating in the air. Everyone is confused by this. Boruto grabs it and Kawaki asks what it is. Boruto asks through his frog if this is what Koji was talking about, and Koji tells him that there is no doubt about it. That's what he saw for sure. A thorn soul bulb. Boruto acknowledges him only for Kawaki to grab him and tell him to hold up. He demands to know what the thing is. Boruto tells Kawaki that it's something that will help him save his master, who was turned into a tree. He then tells Kawaki to move aside or he will cut off his arm. Kawaki demands to know where Boruto got this information. Suddenly, Boruto gets 360 no-scoped out of the blue and drops the bulb. As he falls back, Boruto's friends begin to rush to his side. As Boruto lays there, Konohamaru runs to him and looks for where the attack came from. Kawaki demands that Delta give him a report. We then see Jura hovering above, lamenting that he missed vitals. As it turns out, he likely wasn't just remaining where he was, but rose into the air and struck him from where he had attacked Himawari. He starts charging chakra into his eye again. Delta is surprised that Jura can actually snipe people with his Rinnegan from this distance. Sarada looks over and sees the bulb and recalls that Boruto said that it was something that might save his master, so she reaches out to grab it only for her arm to get sniped too. She falls over as the bulb rises into the air. Kawaki sees it but doesn't have time to grab it. It flies off at supersonic speeds and reaches Jura. Jura examines Hidari's bulb and begins to mull over how Boruto knows about thorn bulbs already. This apparently creeps Jura out enough to declare that they only need Kawaki and determines that Boruto must die. And that is where the chapter ends. Alright, so let's talk about what we know about this chapter. For the most part, it was all action and few revelations. We got some strength feats and some skill information, but as of yet, we still don't know what Sarada's Mangekyo abilities are, and I'm slightly bitter about it. But let's look at some other stuff. For now, we got to see more about the Rasengan Uzahiko. The ability basically works like a Sage Mode type of Spirit Bomb-esque ability. Goku over there in the Moro Saga using Susanoo, Boruto over here using Spirit Bomb. I guess they're feeding off of each other now. According to Boruto, this technique has no limits, but that's likely not entirely true, as its limits are whatever the planet can output, and the planet isn't going to output more than a planet's worth of energy. That would mean that, so far, this technique is at most planetary. Still, I'd like to scale the Naruto world higher than that, given how easily Naruto just swatted away a moon-rending attack, and the fact that I'm pretty sure the guides insinuate that Kaguya actually created those dimensions she exists in. But then again, I want to be careful with power scaling the Naruto world. I don't want to start a fight in the comments. Or maybe I do. Feed the algorithm, fam. This ability is still strong though, and if I were to scale it, I'd at least say that chances are it can probably beat Saiyan Saga Vegeta. Probably wouldn't kill him, but it would probably have the same effect as the Spirit Bomb, depending upon how much centrifugal force Boruto manages to accumulate. But that's just speculation, I suppose. After this, we've got Jura over here, dropping Boruto from miles away and dropping Sarada the same. I won't lie, this seems to be one of the coolest dojutsu abilities I've seen. That Rinnegan is working like a times a million scope. Jura must be smart, too, if he's over there blasting with all that wind resistance. And might I mention how fast that attack is flying just to get there and how instantaneous it is. For it to snipe Sarada's arm from this distance, its speed must be massively hypersonic. That's a pretty interesting ability. One thing I will say that doesn't make sense though is that Jura, as soon as he learns that Boruto knows about the bulb, declares that he's going to destroy Boruto, yet he doesn't snipe him from the distance where he's at. What, is he afraid of Delta? Pretty sure she's weaker than Kawaki here, and Kawaki got smoked by Boruto no diff. If I was Jura and I was serious about killing Boruto, I wouldn't just grab my produce and hit the dusty. I'd fire off a third shot, this time making sure I don't miss his vitals. Go for the heart or brains, or just snipe everyone but Kawaki. Maybe he was afraid he would hit Kawaki? Somehow I doubt it. He literally blew off Sarada's arm with one shot, a quick-moving target that was very small. He's got so much control that I halfway expect a Tom and Jerry trick shot where it just stops before hitting Kawaki, goes around him, and then continues on its trajectory into Boruto's noggin. That's what I would do though. I guess Jura isn't as smart as he thinks he is. To be frank, no villain is. If every villain killed off the hero when they had a chance, well, no hero would ever win. But regardless, let's talk about that funky, gourd-like artichoke thing. It's darkly colored, leading me to believe that it's colored red or something. I guess it could be black. Imagine your soul as a leather artichoke. That fits Sasuke alright. At the bottom of it is what appears to be the symbol of the Rinnegan, which is either an eye itself or simply the pattern of Six Paths chakra, like what's on the back of all Ten Tails Jinchuriki. I assume one must feed this devious veggie to the victim of the divine trees to revive them. But the question I have is likely the same question everyone has. How does Boruto know about it? One could simply say Jiraiya 2 told him, and that would be correct. But how did Koji learn about it? And don't say Kara. He mentions that he has seen one before, and the only thing that we've ever seen give off one of these things is a divine tree. Is it possible that this isn't the first time a divine tree has gained sentience? Has a previous Ten Tails gained sentience and spawned a self-aware clone before? How in the world does Koji know? Was someone else eaten by a grime and defeated? These are the big questions to ask, and I hope it's elaborated on in the next chapter. Kishimoto Sensei's cooking, and I'm all up for trying me some leather veggies. The story has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. But what did you think? Did you enjoy this chapter, or did you feel it was just lackluster? What did you like? What did you want to see this time around? And best yet, what do you want to see in future chapters? Your opinions. I crave them almost as much as Jura craves to raid a Barnes & Noble. Post them down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the review, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notified when more chapters like this or other awesome content drop. And speaking of other awesome content, feel free to try out these videos. I think you'll enjoy them. Until next time, peace out.